come to order. Please rise for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the village board meeting of October 28th, 2024. Roll call, please. Stacy?
Yep.
Thierry?
Here.
Kraus?
Here.
Gardner?
Here.
Weisbach?
Here.
Beechenko?
Here.
In your packet, you have the minutes for the October 15th meeting. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, changes? No? If not, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call. Stacy?
Yes.
Thierry?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Weisbach?
Yes.
Beechenko?
Yes.
Does anyone from the audience wish to address the board if you're not here for another event that's going on tonight? All right, village clerk's report.
Total tax income received in the month of September, $787,812.79, the bulk of that being real estate taxes. And I just wanted to remind anyone who is going to be running for village office that the filing dates for the April 1st, 2025 elections are from November 12th through November 18th here at the Village Hall, and election forms will not be accepted before or after those dates. That's all I have.
Okay. Under my report, we are first going to go to our police department awards. So we have some awards to give out tonight to some of our officers. And Chief, if you'd like to...
Good evening, President Meyer, members of the village board. It is my pleasure this evening to honor two of our outstanding officers, Sergeant Aaron DeCourton and Officer Dylan Lorick. First one we're going to do is Sergeant Aaron DeCourton. He's the bigger guy here. Aaron, if you don't mind, come on up. So I would like to point out that Grant Park Chief Carl Fry is here. Where is he? He's here, I know. Oh, here's right here. Yeah, come on, Carl. So he was a big part of why Aaron is getting this award, so I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to read you what the award is. On June 1st, 2024, Sergeant DeCourt was dispatched to the Beecher Dollar General Store for subjects attempting to pass counterfeit currency. The subjects left the store prior to his arrival and headed south from the store. Sergeant DeCourt had the foresight to check the flock cameras and then contacted the Grant Park Police Department and proceeded to Grant Park Dollar Store, where the subjects were found. One of the subjects had also passed counterfeit currency at the Grant Park Casey store before Sergeant DeCourt arrived, and both Chief Fry and Sergeant DeCourt caught him as well. The three subjects were arrested and found a significant amount of counterfeit currency, and each were charged with numerous felonies. Sergeant DeCourt displayed exceptional skills and went above and beyond what was expected, which brought credit to him and the Beecher Police Department. So, Aaron, congratulations. We're going to get a picture. Joe. Come on in, Joe. Joe, come on this side.
All right. Picture from this angle. You guys get a little closer together.
I want to get part of the flag.
Does anybody else take pictures?
Good.
All right, you're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron, you want pictures with the family?
Sure. Where's Kristen? Did you leave the baby in the car? Inside, everybody. Okay. Sorry, kiddo. Here, you can roll it.
Hey.
Good. Who are we looking at?
Look at the chief.
Smile.
He's not smiling. He's not smiling.
Good.
second award is going to go to Officer Dylan Lorick. On the morning of August 8th, it was really hot out. I'm not going to read off this because I know intimately what happened. It was very hot that day, and a subject went missing in the unincorporated areas of Beecher. Dylan Lorick is a member of he's a volunteer member of a canine group that works in this area. He volunteered to do it because we don't have a canine as much as he'd like to have one. So the subject was missing all day from early morning to late at night. And Dylan Lorick, because of his connections to this canine group, was able to find a witness that saw the subject earlier in the day, and because we had already put together a group of people searching for this subject, and there was a lot of people that he knew. When he got the new information, we relocated all the people to the area where he was last seen, and he was found right before nightfall. And if we didn't find him then, he may have been in peril. And I'm really proud and happy to say that he survived, and he's right here in the back seat, back row here, Jim. So, Jim, thank you for coming. Thank you very, very much. And this is the guy. So we're going to come on up here, Dylan. And thanks to Pastor Ed, because Ed had the connection to get Jim here today.
Same scenario?
Same thing.
Same thing, okay. Last time I couldn't get it.
You want to get your...
Yeah. Ken, Grandma, Mom, Megan?
Come on, Megan.
Can you wash my purse over?
Before we continue, Pastor Ed would like to say a few words.
I just want to thank our police officers for being so diligent, and all the people that began this search for Jim. And there's lessons to be learned from it, and we're thankful that God worked a miracle. And not everybody recovers. Jim was 3/4 of a mile into the field. And we went out to dinner tonight. His wife said, "I am so thankful the corn is cut down." I'm thankful for that, and Jim has refused to eat corn since then. And he doesn't watch the movie anymore, Build It and They'll Come. So I just want to thank everybody, and thank you, Chief, for inviting us. Thank you, I'm so glad this man's alive.
Yeah, we're going to do it out here. Yeah.
God bless everybody. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next under my report is to discuss meeting date for the first meeting in November. For that meeting, that's going to be on Veterans Day. So we can meet the next day, we can skip the meeting, it kind of depends on what needs to be done. Yeah. Is that payroll?
Try to say,
Or, I mean, we could come in and meet on Tuesday just very briefly, and, yeah, I think so. I hate to just skip a meeting, if something comes up, we're in trouble.
the credit card bill can be authorized to be paid to make sure that it's paid if you want to skip the meeting, but that's the only thing that's important.
Okay,
It's supposed to the end of the year, there's a couple things I think we need to firm up, I'd rather.
okay. So that will be the 12th, is it? 12th? Okay, would someone like to, we do have to make a motion on that, right?
Yes.
Would someone like to make a motion to move that meeting to the 12th? There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, roll call. Who made the motion? Dave did, the second was, actually, it was Rob first. Roger did the first, second.
Diachenko,
Yes.
Weisbach,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
And then we're considering an ordinance to amend Village Code Section 1-6-6 of the Village of Beecher, which amends the time of regular meetings of the Village President and Board of Trustees to be held at 6 o'clock p.m. effective December of 2024. Any discussion, or shall somebody like to just make that motion?
Yeah, number.
Pardon?
Yeah, number.
Yes, I do. Sleep at the wheel. 1412.
I'd like to make a motion to, for ordinance 1412, amending the village code to, meetings be held 6 p.m. effective the first meeting in December 2024.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Weisbach,
Yes.
Diachenko.
Yes.
That ends my report, but I think we are going to move up the committee reports. Let's move planning, building, and zoning up to the front since we have our petitioner here, so they don't have to sit through the entire meeting should they not want to. So trustee Gardner.
All right. Consider directing the village attorney to draft an ordinance granting a special use permit at a B1 historic downtown business district for a vape and smoke shop at 759 West Indian Avenue. PZC voted unanimously to recommend approval of the special use permit request with the conditions listed in the attached findings of fact.
And this is to, so there's no confusion, this is to direct our attorney to draft the ordinance. We would still have to vote on the ordinance at a future meeting. Any discussion?
I'll make a motion directing the village attorney to draft an ordinance for a special use permit at 759 West Indian Avenue for a vape and smoke shop.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Diachenko,
Yes.
Weisbach,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Okay. So then that will be, well, we'll have the attorney draft the ordinance, and then once that is finished, we will have it on the agenda to be voted on.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thanks.
You don't need the rest of
We
it?
might as well finish it up, yeah.
Discussion and consideration of third amendment of professional services agreement between the village of Beecher and Safeville, Illinois, in an amount not to exceed $10,000. Safeville will provide assistance to staff with the adoption of and transition to new building codes.
So this, of course, began with discussion of having the 5,000 square foot buildings require sprinklers, and then we came to find out that as of January 1st, we have to change all of our codes because we are still running under 2015 building and fire code. You're not allowed to go more than 2 code sets back. So we would have to move up at a minimum to 2018 code. And they're already working on the next set. So we would end up having to, within a year or so, move up to another set. So we're looking at 2021 code. It's just that we need assistance with deciphering how that could impact economic development, building, et cetera. If builders come in, how much of an impact that would have. So Safeco is well versed in being able to recommend ways that you can make amendments to the code. You can adopt the whole 2021 and then amend it, which most villages do. They come up with adopting some provisions that don't necessarily go along with the code as stamped. So that's kind of what we're looking for, and that's going to be a little bit of a process. Now that being said, hopefully it will not be $10,000, but
There was another community that was like quite a bit less than that. I think it just depends upon how much help we ended up needing, because an hour.
how much discussion and argument there is, yeah.
All right.
I'll make a motion for the third amendment of professional services agreement between the Village of Beecher and Safeville, Illinois, in the amount not to exceed $10,000.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second?
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call?
Stacy?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Weisbach?
Yes.
Diachenko?
Yes.
And the next planning and zoning meeting will be December 12th at 7 p.m. here.
All right,
Who's there?
back to the front. Finance and Administration Committee, trustee Kraus.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion approving the list of bills and payroll in the amount of $145,415.49.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second? There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call?
Diachenko?
Yes.
Weisbach?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yeah. And then we have our auditors here.
I'm Jennifer Doss. I'm a CPA from Gross Rights, Abraham, Eshman, and Garrett C. And I've been working on the audit here for the village for the past 3 years. This is Dale Garrett C. He's the partner at the firm that is on your village audit. So in front of you, we passed out today this binder, which is our audit report, your financial statements. And I'm going to go ahead and go through that, a few of those sections in a moment. I just want to say also that it's always such a pleasure to work with the village, and the staff is always great. I always enjoy my time working on this audit, so we appreciate that. So in your binder, the first, if you go past the table of contents, the first pages we have there are auditor's report, which we have issued an unmodified or clean opinion for the year ended April 30th, 2024. So that's good, that's what you want, is a clean unmodified opinion. And then the next report, a couple pages in, on page 4, is a report that government auditing standards require due to different state and federal grants that were expended throughout the year. So that's due to like the Penfield Street expenditures, ARPA expenditures, and there was a few others. Details on what those grant expenditures were are at the end of this report on page 72. There's a breakdown there. The next portion we have is your basic financial statements. And I'll be discussing those shortly. And then after the basic financial statements and the notes to the financial statements, then we have our required supplementary information. And that includes budget to actual comparisons for the major funds. And then also pension information related to IMRF and OPEB. And then the last section, last two sections, we have our combining schedules for the non-major funds and some of the other supplementary schedules. And then the last schedule is the other information. And those are the assessed rates, extensions, and collections. So I'm gonna start on pages 8 and 9, or I'm sorry, 6 through 8. So that would be our statement of net position and our statement of activities. These two reports are reported on the full accrual basis of accounting. So that's going to include all of your capital assets, your long-term debt, deferred inflows and outflows that pertain to IMRF. So on page 7 and 8, we have the statement of activities. And I'm going to draw your attention to the fifth line from the bottom there that says the changes in net position. And for the governmental activities, we had an increase of $1,302,240 for the year. And that's about $560,000 more than the prior year. Some of the major contributing factors to that increase, or the difference from the prior year to this year, would be that ARPA funds that were received in a prior year were expended in this current year, so they were considered as revenues. There was accrued reimbursements for the Penfield Street grant for fiscal year '24 expenditures that had not been received yet. And then also, the normal operating revenues were higher across the board for fiscal year '24 than in '23 by about $400,000. And expenditures only increased by about $350,000. And then, for the business type activities on this, that would be your water sewer. There was an increase of about $443,112 from the prior year. That was down from the prior year by about $1.5 million, but that had to do with, in fiscal '23, we had, the IEPA grant that was received. So that's the difference between fiscal '23 and '24. All the other expenditures and revenues for the enterprise fund seem to stay pretty consistent from '23 to '24. Then if you want to go ahead and turn to page 9, this is our balance sheet for the governmental funds. This one is reported on our modified accrual basis, which is focused on current financial resources. So it does not report your capital assets or long-term debt. The third line from the bottom is your unassigned fund balance of $341,721. That's increased from the prior year by just over $195,000. And that remains a very healthy standpoint for the village. And then this year, also reported on the front here would be your motor fuel taxes, major funds, and the public safety facility fund is also a major fund this year as well. Page 11, skip to that one, is our statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for our governmental funds. And this one again is on the modified accrual basis, so your current financial resources. And the third line from the bottom again is your net change in fund balance. The general fund was pretty consistent with fiscal year '23. And if you look up a few lines, you'll see the excess of revenues over expenditures was about $433,260, which is $164,000 more than in the prior year. And then the last page that I'll talk about is page 14, which is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for the water, sewer, and refuse fund. And I touched a little earlier about the overall change in net position for this fund. These funds were $443,112. And this just breaks that down a little further. So your operating revenues increased from the prior year by about $107,000. And then the operating expenditures also increased from the prior year, but only by about $37,000. And then your non-operating income and expense, so that would be your tax and interest, increased from the prior year by about $44,000. So overall, it's looking great. Again, it was a pleasure to work with the village this year again on your audit. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try and answer those.
Here, I never, there doesn't seem to be any questions.
So I'll make a motion accepting the fiscal year '23-24 financial audit as presented.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Weisbach,
Yes.
Danchenko.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. much. Thank you. Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation Committee, trustee Tachenko.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
Last Wednesday, a few trustees, the president, and some other groups that are gonna be involved with the tree lighting got together, and really it was trustee Kraus that spearheaded. We basically just did a bullet list of all the specific items and individual events that are gonna make up the whole tree lighting event. I think we've got everything nailed down, down to the type of glitter we're gonna use for the reindeer food.
Alternate glitter, yeah.
Yeah. I won't go into the detail, I've got like 30 different lines of, different details. In addition to that too, we had a separate little, another meeting after that, just to go over some minor details for the new police building, dedication plaque, sign on the side of the building, and then potentially a sign in the front of the building. So more details to come on that.
Okay. All right, and is that all for you?
Yes, it is, sorry.
That's
That
okay.
concludes my report.
Yeah, thank you. Public Safety Committee, trustee Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to try this again and consider and approve, enter into a collection service agreement with Municipal Collections of America, Inc. For the collection services. This item was tabled from the last meeting for clarification on the provisions of the collection services agreement. It's now back on the agenda for approval, so I'd like to make a motion to consider and approve and enter into a collection services agreement with Municipal Collections of America, Inc.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion? Roll call?
Diachenko,
Yes.
Weisbach,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Public Works Committee, trustee Stacy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to consider a motion declaring the 2012 Cub Cadet lawn tractor as surplus property and donating it to the Beecher Rec. This will be keeping it, they will be keeping it at the Weltonstead School to maintain the newly renovated fields. So I would like to make that motion, declaring the 2012 Cub Cadet lawn tractor as surplus property and donating it to Beecher Rec.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion? Roll call?
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Weisbach,
Yes.
Diachenko.
Yes.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
Economic Development Community Relations Committee, trustee Weisbach.
Just that the fall newsletter was mailed out last week, is also available on the village website. That was all.
Alrighty. Any old business to come before the board? Executive session? Okay. Did someone make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees?
So,
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Diachenko,
Yes.
Weisbach,
yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
And we'll recess for a couple of minutes.